Hey guys, Lucas here. Today we're going to be talking about a few more things to do with Zombie Apocalypse. As you know, that's why you clicked on the video. Now, one thing I'd like to talk about is revenge. Now, revenge is a sticky issue in terms of Zombie Apocalypse. People want revenge for silly things. People want revenge for serious things. You know, you lose someone because of another. They might want revenge. They might try and attack someone. Revenge is going to be a big issue in a zombie apocalypse because you got to look out for people who are seeking revenge, whether you've kicked them out or whatnot. Whatever you've done to annoy someone, they could want revenge for it, and that's a big issue in a zombie apocalypse because if someone wants revenge, you don't know when they're going to strike. They could act all innocent, be completely fine with you. Next minute your back's turned, boom, gone. So, you know, revenge is a big issue, and I know people want revenge if they lose a loved one, but it's really not worth it. We're all human. We all have things that we want to protect, people that we want to hold dear to us in our lives, and stuff like that. So, you know, I understand people will want revenge, but revenge just isn't the way to go. You know, we're supposed to band together. Sometimes it won't be a person's fault and they might get revenge acted out on them for no reason. They didn't mean to do it. Sadly they're gone now. You know, it's a bit of a sticky situation when it comes to revenge in a zombie apocalypse, and you got to think about that. Now, another thing I'd like to bring up is confined spaces. Confined spaces are a big issue if you have a longer weapon. It lowers your mobility if you have something like a big pole and you're in a narrow corridor. It's going to restrict your movement if there's furniture and stuff in the way, which could possibly get you killed. So be very careful when you're in confined spaces. Make sure you're holding the weapon right to be able to use it effectively so nothing gets in the way. And just be careful for whatever could be right around that corner. Make sure you have somewhere to retreat to if the going gets tough and you need to defend yourself. You know, you got to be careful out there because confined spaces are a big danger risk to anyone. And another thing I'd like to bring up is zombies with covered faces. Humans with covered faces. The reason this is such a big issue, and many of you will agree with me on this, because if someone's got the face covered, you don't know if they're human or if they're a zombie, and you don't know who's under there. For all you know, that person you see across the street, you might think it's a human. You go calling out to him, yo dude, yo, you know, try and talk to him or whatnot. It could be a zombie under there, you don't know. So covered faces is a really big issue, especially if it's some kind of armor, like if they have protective armor on underneath it which could protect the face. That could be a really big issue. And the reason why I say zombies with covered faces is because, you know, people before they became a zombie could have had the face covered, they got bit and unfortunately died, and the face is covered, so you don't know who's under there or what's under there. Basically, you don't know if it's human or not, so be very wary and cautious of people with covered faces, whether they're a zombie or not. And the thing is, with covered faces, you don't know who's under there. They could attack someone, and you could come across them one day. You will never know it was them because they might not have the face covered at that point. So, you know, you wouldn't actually know you're walking into the lair of the beast, not knowing that that person was the one who actually took one of your teammates' lives, or possibly injured you in some way, or caused some catastrophic event to affect you in a great deal. And another thing I'd like to bring up is make everything count. Remember, everything has a use. People seem to forget this fact. Every single thing has a use, but make sure you prioritize the things that will have a use. For example, if you have a bent drawing pin, you might think, well, that's no use to me, but it could have a use. I haven't got an idea for a use for it, but you know, other people will be able to think of use. That bent drawing pin could be perfect for unwedging something from inside of something, or I don't know, it could be used as some kind of trap contraption or something, you know. Everything has a use, and that's one thing you need to remember. Even a carton of milk that's empty has a use. It's useful for something, whether it's firewood. Well, it's not really wood, it's cardboard, but is cardboard wood? I think so, anyway. But basically, you know, it's everything has a use to make everything count, make all your ammo count, everything. Like a snapped arrow, like you wouldn't think that'd be useful, but you can still use it as a stabbing weapon and plunge it right into a zombie's head if you're using a force, or even a human's head for that matter. So remember, be very careful with what stuff you have. Don't waste it. It can have a use, but make sure you don't stockpile stuff that hasn't got a use in this prior moment. So, for example, if you have far too many empty packets of crisps or something like you know, just taking up a lot of storage, you don't need all those packets of crisps. Like, packets of crisps aren't really useful for anything. I mean, they can be used for burning, but they burn proper quick or something like that. But I'm just giving you an example if you understand what I mean. Everything has a use in some way, but don't stockpile too much of something that isn't going to get used anytime soon and isn't in immediate supply. Traps. Now, there's some very tricky contraptions when it comes to traps. Traps are deadly. You don't know where they are sometimes. You sometimes won't even see them coming. Traps have killed countless people over the years that humans have existed, even animals. Cause injuries. You know, traps are one of the biggest things because you don't expect it. Your main mindset is focusing on if there's humans in here or possibly undead, any zombies nearby, you have to watch out for. And because of that, you won't be completely cautious of what could possibly be there, a tripwire or anything. If you don't take your time and carefully approach things, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, look at The Walking Dead, for example. Walking Dead's a great series. Everyone loves The Walking Dead. You know, that welcome Matt. A floor was missing. There were spikes underneath. You know, it's things like that could catch anyone off guard and could cause a serious issue. So be very wary of traps. Another thing is there's going to be no lore in a zombie apocalypse. This is a good thing, but also a very bad thing. Many people will take this opportunity to go around and do what they want, whether it's raping people, killing people for fun, killing people for sport, and then others will use it to defend themselves. You know, it's good because you don't have to worry about the police breathing down your neck each time you have to defend yourself against someone, but it's also really bad because there's no one out there that can do anything in terms of justice for anyone. Like, for example, if someone attacks you, then basically, you know, you tell the police, they'd arrest them. That's not going to happen in a zombie apocalypse. Someone attacks you, you're going to have to fight back. You've got no one else to do it for you, unless you've got, obviously, other survivors nearby. And basically, you know, it's one of those things you need to be very careful because there's going to be no law around. It means people have freedom to do whatever they want, and the sadness of reality is there's going to be some sick people who are going to love that fact. One thing is trails, traces and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to trails and traces and stuff like that, it can be used in many ways, whether it's tracking animal perhaps, basically leaving signs so someone knows how to follow you, like when you group if you get kidnapped, like in Lord of the Rings for example. Great film, where Merry and Pippin are captured. They basically start leaving traces and stuff for them to follow. You know, things like that can be really helpful. It can either save your life, could be used to help you find food. So if you know someone who knows how to track and you see any traces, it could be very useful because it helps you know if there's enemies in the area. If someone's been recently around, there's a fresh dead zombie, you know someone's nearby. It's basically a trail, it's a trace, you know. You can follow that and hopefully find someone good, or you could follow that and find someone bad. You don't know. So trails and traces are something that you really need to look out for, just like signs. Now, you could do this, But it's one of those which weighs the pros against the cons massively. If you have a safe base, leaving a sign somewhere saying there's a safe location nearby can go one of two ways. It can bring good people to your group, it can bring bad people to your group, but it can also make you lose your base. The reason for this is because whenever you have something nice, people want to take it from you. It's something you have, they want it, it means safety for them. People will fight you for it. They'll come to try and take it. And you don't know who you're going to let in your group. They could act all innocent, gain everyone's trust. They could be there for weeks, not doing anything. And then suddenly, with all the buddies who have acted like they were survivors and you brought them all in, not realising they all actually knew each other, well, suddenly could turn on your group and just be like bam, 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 bam. You know, and that's going to cause massive problems. So, personally up to you what you want to do. In my opinion, not a good idea. Just purely because of the fact that it can bring more danger to you than it can good in many senses, and also it's going to bring flocks of survivors to you. Whether they're bad or not, that means you've got more people to shelter, that means you've got to supply more food, more beds, more comfort. That means you've got more people to watch. That means it's just one of those where you weigh the pros against the cons, which is a very big issue that you really need to be careful of. Now, basically, being too proud and enforceful can be very bad. Some people are too proud for their own good, in which they let the pride get in the way of what they do. They don't see things straight because they're too proud of the person, and people can enforce rules in some serious ways. Some people will be so strict on enforcing certain rules they will probably kill you just for not following one. Now, that is a bad thing, and it really is. I mean, you want rules, obviously, in your group, so not everyone can just run around and do whatever the hell they want. But don't be too enforceful and too strict, and basically being a douchebag about it is not going to win you any favours with the group, and it's just probably going to lead to either a mutiny, or it's just going to cause everyone to hate you. And that means you got enemies inside your own walls who will possibly want to kill you. So don't do it. Don't do it. Please do not be one of those people. Now make sure you give clear instructions to your group. There's nothing worse than giving bad instructions to your group and they don't know what they're doing, and then they go out there and they get themselves killed. Now this is a very big issue just purely because of the fact that basically you want everyone to know what they need to do. They need to know the right tasks. They need to know what they need to bring back. They need clear instructions that they can understand perfectly so they can follow them out. And another thing I'd like to bring up is leaving things open or not. This is the thing. You see, leaving a door open gives you an exit, but it also gives others an entrance. But then again, you might want an exit in case things go south. Also, leaving things open indicates someone's been around. Closing them indicates that, you know, people could not possibly be around and people might be more intrigued to search. And that could put you at danger. So it's one of those, you have to weigh the pros against the cons again. There's just so many things in Zombie Apocalypse. Everything you have to weigh against another. And that's the sadness and the harshness of reality. Now, one thing I'd like to bring up, which is a very good idea and a very good tip, is at the start of a zombie apocalypse, people are going to be panicking, many people are going to be fleeing, going to go get the family and stuff. If you've got a good place where you know you can sit, or you're planning on staying at home, which I don't advise unless you definitely got a surefire way of actually making sure it's safe and nothing can get in. Basically go out there and have a look at who's leaving what homes. Now many people will take their food and storage and stuff like that, but they'll leave some behind. Some people will leave some behind, and then also on top of that, you also know there's going to be no one there when you go to loot it. Just because there's not food there does not mean it's not worthwhile looting. There's more bed sheets, which if in case you have more survivors, that means more bed sheets, more materials, whether it's wood from cupboards or anything. It's just somewhere you can get supplies from. Whether it's food or not, it's supplies. Every little bit helps. So make sure that you keep an eye on who's going where. Also, make sure you're not out in plain sight, because you never know when someone might just charge at you or something like, you know. Make sure you observe. Keep out of sight though, just to be on the safe side. Now, in terms of breathing, now, when you're running, your breathing gets very heavy, and basically, people, because breathing gets very heavy, it's a sound. Which means zombies could hear you breathing, other humans could hear you breathing. And that's not very good if you're trying to hide, because you're just going to give away your position. When you're panicking, you breathe drastically, and you want to make sure you try and control your breathing whenever possible. If you're ever trying to hide or anything, you know, you want to make sure that you're in control of your own breath. Not controlling your breathing right means you get exhausted quicker. Basically, for example, if you're jogging, if you're not pacing yourself and breathing at a regular rhythm, you're gonna get tired a lot more quicker. If you're breathing in a rhythm, you're gonna not be as tired. You'll still get tired from it, but not as much, because you'll have more breath. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So remember to keep that in mind as well. Now, a cure in a zombie apocalypse. I don't even know if it's really that worth it. To go through all the trouble of trying to get a cure, it is worth it, don't get me wrong. But unless you're a medical scientist and you know what you're doing, I wouldn't advise it. The chances of a cure being found at early stages of zombie apocalypse where things can revert to normal is slim to none. You have to get very lucky. Basically, and also on top of that, it's, you know, once a large populace of zombies, you know, making a cure, is there going to be enough cure for everyone? Well, it can be useful because if you have a cure, if any of you guys get bit, you can save them then. But I think once they're gone, they're gone possibly. I mean, there may be a way to bring them back, but chances of that happening at early stages of zombie apocalypse before everything goes to hell, I highly doubt it. But, you know, do seek out a cure if you're a scientist and you're good with that kind of thing and you got the lab and you got a safe place to do it, and try and find a cure. But for me personally, I'm not one of those people, so me trying to find a cure, I'm not going to bother, because I possibly will never be able to figure it out. And in terms of me finding a cure, slim to none, unless I have a scientist in my group who knows what he's doing. I'm not going to try, because why try if I actually can't? You know, I've not got the brains, I've not got the intellect, I've not got the teaching, I don't know how to do it. So, since of me finding a cure, slim to none. If I know someone who knows how to make one, possibly go to them. Reliability is a big issue in a zombie apocalypse. If you've not got someone who you can rely on, they're dead weight in some senses. I don't mean cut them off and get rid of them, but some people will choke and not act. So say for example, fear is one thing that scares you. You see a car driving towards you at really fast speed, most people pause out of fear. You get stuck in place. And that could be the same with zombies. People could be petrified of zombies to a point that they freeze and don't move. And that's going to cause a really big issue, because, you know, that's not going to be very good for helping save your life, that person. So, those who aren't very reliable, try and train them to be reliable. Try and train them to conquer the fear. My girlfriend was scared of clowns. She's been scared of clowns since she was a little kid. I helped her overcome her fear of clowns by basically putting on a mask and stuff like that to basically get her out of it. And I know many of you probably say that sounds harsh, but she wanted me to do it at the same time, so it was one of those, you know. She got over it thanks to me. You know, people can overcome the fears if they face them. So those people who aren't very reliable, best not bringing them on the run, but train them to be reliable. Now, another thing which is a bit iffy to talk about is once a bad guy, always a bad guy. And the reason why this is so kind of iffy is because people can change, and I believe everyone should have a second chance. But there's some people who, once they're bad, they're always bad. Some people could have extreme trauma in their life from a zombie apocalypse that could change them, and they could basically end up getting stuck like that the way they are. And that's a big issue. So you need to be very wary of that, because, you know, some people do change, some people won't. They'll stay exactly the same. They may play good to stay in your good books for a while, and then they'll show the true colours and be back to basically where they were. So, you know, it's one of those that you really need to think about. And another thing is, only act when you need to. For example, if you see a bunch of survivors that are hunting you, don't pop your head over and try and take a pop at one of them with a pistol or whatever. Just stay hidden. Only act when you need to. Wait for one of them to come alone, or if you're going to another, wait for them to come to you. Stay as still as you can. Make sure you're facing the position in which you will see them, whether it's up above or to the side, and basically get your weapon ready. Only act when you need to. It's pointless acting when you don't have to. For example, if you see a bunch of zombies walking past, now instead of just like poking up and being like, oh, I'll just move now while they're still right next to me, pretty much, you're putting yourself at risk. You don't want to put yourself at risk because you want to survive in a zombie apocalypse. That's the whole point. You want to survive, so only act when you know that they've gone and you got a safe run for the exit. Also, another thing very important, pair weapons together. For example, many people will go with a gun knife approach. You know, here play Call of Duty gun game. You know, people have a pistol, they have a knife, shoot, stab. Also, another thing which can work is basically bows themselves on their own aren't very deadly weapons. Without arrows or anything like that, they're not very deadly. So why not, if you know how to, possibly attach some blades onto the ends where the string goes into. That way you have a slicing weapon. You know, it's combining weapons is one of the big things that will really help you out in the zombie apocalypse. Like for example, normally, say for example I had a normal scythe. A normal scythe would be great in some senses because I have long range, but not the greatest in the sense that up close, the blade isn't going to be as sharp on the top end. But at the same time, if I could get something that like maybe a sharpened blade, which is sort of like sliced like that, if I could get some wood and meld it into the wood, attach it onto there, basically it's like a scythe axe at the same time. So for example, when I can't go like this, I can get it up like this and stab that way into the head, so the blade will go tsh. Also on the bottom of it, the bottom of a scythe isn't very deadly, it's just a wooden stick. You can find a way to attach a blade onto that. The zombie comes up behind you, or a person for example, you can go backwards like that, but make sure that when you do it, you've got the side of the scythe not facing you. You don't want to have the scythe on this side where your body is and try and, because then the blade's just going to go like this when you try and stab the zombie, you know. So make sure you turn it over and then do it, so you know you're not going to hit yourself. Another thing I'd like to bring up is sewing extra pockets. Now, if you know someone who knows how to sew, this would be very useful. Sewing extra pockets means more storage for you to carry things, whether it's small things or not. It's still useful. You can find a few lighters with still some fuel in them. You know, a few extra pockets You can store them in there. You know, you've got extra storage, which is vital because you're going to want as much storage as you can get, so you can supply as many. You can store as many supplies as possible on your person when you're going out on runs. But one thing you need to always do before you go looting something, make sure the area's clear. Being stupid and trying to loot a chest when there's a bunch of zombies right near you is a very stupid thing. I mean, it's like on Fable, you know, trying to do it with bandits, they hit you, they interrupt you, you know. It's like that. Just don't be silly. Make sure the area is clear. Make sure you took out all threats. You have nothing that can sneak up on you when you're in whether a house or a warehouse or whatever. Make sure it's clear. Then loot when you know you're in safety zone. You know you're not going to get attacked and you know you're not going to get injured and stuff like that. So, you know, make sure the area is clear. Now, I've gone on for quite a bit now. I don't know how long this video's gone on for. But I'm going to end it right here because, you know, I'm tired. I've been up all night. It's 8:31 in the morning. And I brought a few ideas. And basically, I'll be talking about more. Don't worry, there's plenty more videos where this came from. Make sure you like, favourite, comment, subscribe. Really helps my channel grow. Helps let me know what you like in my videos and stuff like that. Your feedback is vitally important to helping this channel grow. If possible, share it on things that maybe your Facebook, maybe your friends might want to check out. You know, just let other people know about the video. You know, help me out to help you out. Knowing you like my videos makes me more inspired to want to help you get better videos, better quality content out there. So please make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Messenger of Death signing out. Peace.